About to head off to the gym. My goal today is to get 30 minutes on the treadmill without stopping at 10 kilometers an hour. I think that's 6 miles an hour. 10 kilometers an hour would be a 10K in exactly 1 hour, which is what I would like to do. I've actually run a 10K before, and it took me well over an hour. It took me like an hour and 8 minutes or something. And I've even run a half marathon. That was a while ago. That was about 50 pounds ago, bigger in the wrong direction. So today I gotta make an improvement. Gotta get 30 minutes on the treadmill, and I'm gonna take a look at the scale as well. I can fairly honestly assume that my weight on the scale will read something like, "Damn, that's big," because I've been drinking a lot and I've eaten pretty healthy actually. So we'll see if it's gone down a little bit. But I'm still a really big guy. So I'm not expecting to see anything too small on the scale. But anywho, I'll get you an update. Got the 30 minutes. It was actually really easy, I felt like. It was surprising. You can see, covered in that sweat. Pretty nasty. Got a lot of work to do, but I was surprised at just how easy, just how simple the 30 minutes felt. I think part of it's because I've run before in the past, and so there was a point in time when I could run an hour or even once a half marathon. So maybe it's only been about half a year since I've done that, so maybe the strength is still there. And I incrementally move myself up to running, and I think I'll probably make a video about that and how I do it, because as a fat person, getting started with running is one of the most intimidating things you can do. But once you get it, it feels really good. And it's one of the best supplements to a healthier lifestyle. I went ahead and ordered 5 kilos of whey protein from MyFitnessPal, or MyFitnessPal. That's the app I use, from MyProtein, and it's unflavored, which means it tastes like shit. That's a damn lie. Unflavored, my ass. But what I do is, my gym has these delicious drinks that they give out for free, no calories, and if I mix them together, it doesn't taste so terrible. In Germany, it's really popular to get what's called Sprudelwasser, which is like the carbonated water, which I used to think it was really nasty, but I've fallen in love with it since I moved here. You mix some like carbonated, calorie-free fruit water with some unflavored protein, and it is halfway tolerable. But when you're a fat guy trying to lose weight, there's not a lot of calorie space for frills, for milk, and for bananas, or for all that extra goodness in a protein shake. You just kind of go with the minimum, get what's tolerable, and so let's get this going. So I'm Will, and today is the most important day of my life so far, because today I'm taking another step towards getting over my addiction to food and binge eating. Got carbonation. 30 minutes on the treadmill. It really does. It feels good. If you're not running and you're fat, and if it's not too bad for your knees, you got to give it a shot, man. You got to get out there and just 1 minute at a time, 2 minutes at a time, take your breaks, build yourself up. It's totally worth it. Then you can reward yourself with a very mediocre protein shake. So that was nasty. But now that I've had that, it's time for some actual lunch, I think. And if you've never been to Germany before, if you've never been to Europe, the best part about living in Germany, besides the beer, of course, is the German bread. Now, it might not look like anything you've never seen before, but believe me, this is what they call Vollkornbrot, full corn bread, full corn, and it is legit. Yeah, it's dark, it's full of calories, but damn it if it isn't tasty. And I'd say it's probably some sort of a heavy carbohydrate. I've tried to reduce my intake of this stuff since I moved here, but at the very beginning it was pretty bad because the stuff is so damn good. In fact, their bread is so special and so different that they don't refer to our white bread or wheat bread as bread. That is called exclusively in German toast, and they actually use the word toast. They don't use the word bread. In fact, there is no word toast in German. They just use the English toast to mean American white bread. Yeah, and they call this bread. And if you ask someone to pass the bread, you're referring to toast, and you ask them to pass the bread, they won't know what you're talking about. It's that It's that big of a difference. So I'm a bigger guy and I run and I love it. Love is not the word. I do it and it feels good when I'm finished doing it. But starting is hard. Starting to jog, to get out there as a fat person who's never trained and jogged before can be really, really intimidating. So I'm going to teach you today some ways to get out there, to get started, and to get into something that's really going to boost and put momentum on your weight loss journey. So I've run off and on for like 5 or 6 years. I started running back when I was like 320, 330 pounds. And so that was tough on my knees. You need to be careful when you're a really overweight person. But the tips I'm going to give you are going to be good for any endurance sport. So if you're swimming or bike riding or something more knee friendly, this advice is still going to apply to you. I ran my first 5K and 10K about 2 years ago. And then I worked myself up over the course of a year to run a half marathon, which I finished in well over 2 hours. Super slow, but I did it, and it's one of the best accomplishments of my entire life. I lost 100 pounds through jogging and lifting weights and healthy eating. I gained about 50 of it back, which I'm now trying to lose, but I'm doing that by starting up my running again. The trick with any endurance sport is to go little by little. So you go out there on your first day. I remember my first day of jogging about 2 years ago, after not having jogged for a very long time, and it's torture. Yeah, you go out there, you run 1 minute intervals, you stop, you're out of breath, you're exhausted, you just can't continue. You run a 5 minute interval and it just feels like it's the end of the world. Let me be the one to tell you, it does get better. If you're a fat person out there huffing and puffing, it's going to get better for you. I promise. You just have to go out there and do little by little. The key is to find a program. So, for example, Couch to 5K is a great program to get started if you're looking to run a 5K race. 5K being 3 miles. It's about a 30-minute run if you're running at about 6 miles an hour, a relatively normal pace. The way the program works is that you can train either in time intervals, so like run 2 minutes, take a break, run 3 minutes, take a break, or you can train in distance intervals, run a half mile, take a break, run 2 miles, take a break, and it's over a 6-week period, I think, maybe it's 8 weeks. I used it when I first started running, and it feels wonderful. And at the beginning, yes, it is a slog because you're out of breath, you feel like you can't continue, but then it does get better. I remember that when I was training Couch to 5K 2 years ago, after I started getting into intervals that the workout would say run 24 minutes straight, one day I just ran 30 because I felt like I had the energy and I was ready, and I had been slowly preparing myself for that moment. So the other tip that's really important is to think about mental blocks. So when you're running, marathoners talk about this, half marathoners talk about this. It's this physical and mental block that you run into towards the end of your race, towards the end of your run. And it manifests itself in a little bit different way if you're a beginner fat person, kind of like doing your first 5-minute jog. And that is, about 3 or 4 minutes in, you start to get this mental thing in your head saying, oh my God, this is the most I've ever run, please stop. All right? And you have to ask yourself, you have to come to this conclusion on your own. Is my mind telling me this because my mind wants a break, because my subconscious doesn't want to push myself, because the fat me is fighting? Is it a mental thing, or are your legs and your knees physically giving out, right? You don't want to hurt yourself. But if it is just your mind, and I think as you train more, you'll get a better sense of when it is just your mind telling you to stop, that's when you need to find the energy to push through. Okay? I encountered this in a big way during my half marathon because I had pain in my feet. This was last March or April when I did this, pain in my knees, and it was a real physical pain that I was experiencing. And that led to a mental pain, or a mental urge to stop. But you have to decide when you're running 10 minutes, do I really need to stop, or do I just want to stop? And you'll get a good feel for that as you go along. And the last thing I want to address is doing this out in public or in the gym. As a bigger person, running can be super intimidating. In fact, I think it probably is the most intimidating except for like powerlifting, because you're exposed, right? You're out in public, you're running, and you're just jiggling all around. People see the jiggle. And I have to kind of give you a useless platitude here, but you kind of have to not give a fuck, all right? You're out there to better yourself. There's two possibilities. One, people are going to see you every week out there doing it. They're going to respect you for it, for bettering yourself, right? Everyone has their vices. Unfortunately for us fat people, our vices are worn very clearly on the outside. When people see us, they know our vice is food.
But everyone's got their vices, and they're going to respect you for wanting to better yourself. Now, that's not to say there aren't assholes in the world. The assholes are going to look at you, laugh at you, forget you. Yeah, you just kind of have to deal with it. Because in the end, the costs outweigh, or the benefits outweigh the costs. It's worth it to get out there and run. The feeling, the runner's high as they call it, after running 30 minutes is real. And if it's not a sense of euphoria like they describe in the scientific papers, at the very least, it's a sense of accomplishment. So those were some tips for you to get started running. The key is to go little by little, have the motivation, and just don't give a fuck about what people think. Yeah, get out there, better yourself. I promise you, you run out there for your first 5K, your first 10K, you get in an official race, the community of runners is so awesome, yeah? Just be slow, be yourself, and enjoy the ride to getting healthier.